To Charles Spurgeon West.
Yeah.
And how did you get the name of Spurgeon? Do you know anything about
I
that?
got it from my uncle.
Your uncle?
Yeah.
And where did he get a name like Spurgeon?
Two of you.
Uncle Miles Spurgeon, that was Papa's brother.
All right. You were named after your
Two of my uncles.
uncles that
Charlie
had a
Murphy,
middle name
yeah,
of
Spurgeon.
Spurgeon.
Well, he was, the name, the origin
that
of the
close
name
enough
comes
to it?
from the Reverend Charles Spurgeon. Dad had the book, Life of Charles Spurgeon.
And trying to go back to the time that you lived in Gilmer County as a child, because you left by the
Yeah, I
time
don't
you were...
remember too much of that. I remember in the wintertime getting a dishpan sliding down the hill and in the ice.
There was plenty of ice and
Yeah, plenty of
snow.
ice up there. I remember that.
You used to do that close to the house in the
Yeah,
dish
right
pan?
back of the house.
Mhm.
Yeah, down to the creek we go sliding down there.
Mhm. How about Lemma? She was how much older than you?
She's about 3 years older than me, was your mama? Two,
2.5.
2.5 years.
What was she like? How would you describe her appearance?
She was kind of slender, black-headed.
Dark complexion,
Yeah, real dark.
dark blue eyes.
And she worked like the devil all the time, too.
She had a lot of energy?
Yeah, had a lot
Was
of
she a
energy,
little like
yeah.
Dee Dee that way? Or?
Yeah. She seemed though she was always Papa's favorite too, I believe.
Yeah.
Whatever he wanted, I'll get Lemmy. He called her Lemmy. Said, I'll get Lemmy to do it for me. He never did call her Lemmer. He called her Lemmer. He called her Lemmer.
And Lemmy?
Yeah, Lemmy. Get Lemmy to do it for me.
Now, do you remember working in the field as a child in
Oh.
Gilmer County?
Just a little, not too much of that. Sending corn like that up there, though.
Mm-hmm. Did some hoeing and
Yeah,
pulling
hoeing,
weeds.
cutting sprouts,
Piling mostly. Picking them up.
piling them to be burnt.
Uh-huh. Do you remember much about where you slept or anything about?
No, I know. I
What was
remember
yours?
sleeping on a straw mattress, stick,
Mm-hmm.
made out of wheat
Oh,
straw.
That's all anybody had then.
Yeah, that's all in my head, I guess. Then that, well, it says 2 or 3 hours sleep together, I guess, when I was kids that way.
And Don was the
He was
other
older,
brother, was
yeah.
the oldest brother?
Yeah,
And he
really
was how
wasn't
many
old.
years older than you?
Good God, he's about 10 years older than me, Mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that part of the time he was already gone to school as you were growing
Yeah.
up. Well, what are your first memories after you moved to Cotton County? Cotton Country.
Kid
when
is
you came
summer.
south?
Huh?
Kid is summer.
Yeah. Yeah, just a lot of work in that dead blame
Mhm.
stuff.
How about the move down? What do you remember about
Oh
moving
man, that
down
was
the
a
wagon?
picnic.
Yeah, why
Riding
was
in a
it?
wagon.
You never had such a long ride.
No, man, that was a long ride. It took 2 or 3 days. We camp out at night. Just like having a picnic now.
You remember we was staying in a church one night?
Yeah, stayed in an old church, slept in an old
Mhm.
church one night.
And did you tell me there were dogs following
Yeah,
you?
we had a dog. We cat. He followed right along behind the wagon.
What was his name?
Old Watch.
Watch.
Black and tan dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a big old bugger.
Then what are your memories? You started, you remember school best after you got down to...
Oh, I remember when we went to Milford. I can remember going there and I don't know, boys always picking at me.
Well, you know, when the county doctor come out, and he condemned you with the itch.
Yeah. Said I
Came
had
out
the-
and condemned you with...
Yeah, said I had the itch, couldn't go to school.
Where was the itch?
Yeah, they stopped us
I don't know. I
In
just,
your hair or what?
Stopped us from school.
no, what we
Wait,
had
wait,
the itch,
Rudolph over there said it was in your scrotum now.
No, it was
Nah.
just some skirting places on his hands.
But
That's
anyhow,
what
we,
it was.
Mama agrees with sulfur, wasn't it? Sulfur and lard you put on?
No, I had
What was
to
the one
assess that.
time I
That's
know-
what the doctor told the teacher to
Oh,
tell me to do. And I had to assess that. You can put sulfur and grease on places like that and it spreads it, just makes it sore. and it was just little red skirted places, and Madeline Norton was the teacher, one of the teachers. And I sent her a note and asked her to come by. She come right below the house, going home. She lived right over this over hill. Well, she come up to the house, and she looked like she was scared to death. She didn't come up in the yard or up to the door. She come out to the edge of the yard and called me. And I went to the door, and I said, come on in. And she said, well,
Pretty hard when Papa asked for her to work, she could run on out in the field and go to work with her.
What were you saying about Lemma Buddy?
She was always sickly, with headaches in her side.
well, she had something wrong with her. She was sick when she was a baby, practically all her life.
What it took the form mainly of the side that hurt her and the headache, huh?
There's one thing she liked to do, and that was read. Remember?
Yeah, she liked to read a lot.
Remember, was it you that used to call her Limmer, let me see your primer or something?
Yeah.
Lemma, let me see your
Let me
primer.
see your
Remember, 'cause
primer.
she'd always be reading.
Now, what was this you and she used to say at the table? Because we didn't get that before.
You say biting bug, and I'll say monkey.
It used to go back and
say
forth.
monkey,
I
we'd say
never
monkey.
did.
Monkey,
never did.
huh?
Yeah, I don't know where we got it
Where
from,
the
but-
title started.
Okay.
We were just little kids.
Well, they'd say it. One would say it, and the other repeat monkey right after, and then they'd get tickled, they'd hide under the table, and their daddy would raise cane with them.
Don used to get us out in the field and he'd draw a ring. Elsie was bigger than me. Draw a ring for me and Lemmer to fight. And I could whoop Lemmer, and then he'd get Elsie in there, she'd whoop me. Then he'd draw and I'd get mad and cry and run. He'd get a kick out of that too.
You'd be out working in the field and draw a ring.
See which one fights us.
Gee,
You were all different sizes too. So
Yeah.
you were the least. You had a.
Yeah, I was a
Put
little
out.
scrubby thing, yeah.
That's up to you and Bob, you and Peter, or Rudy on it now, buddy.
yeah.
You,
Nobody drew a ring, though, did you?
No,
Took a
Rudy,
lot of space for us.
Oh my God, yeah. Remember when we wouldn't shuck corn, Rudy, because Daddy put that king snake in the barn?
he left it in there.
Left it in there and we were pretending. I
Little
wasn't
black
afraid of
snake.
snakes. Rudy wasn't afraid of snakes.
what he left the black snake in the
Pretty
barn.
good. Crib
Caught
took
'em
the
all the
rats
time,
out.
they eat
Yeah.
rats.
King snake, and I picked
And you
it up.
wouldn't go in to shuck corn
We
because of.
pretended we were
I
afraid
went
of
in the
snakes.
Oh, yeah.
crib, I went to get corn to feed the mule, and I had a sore thing and didn't want to shuck it. And I found one ear was already shucked, and I thought, well, I don't get enough for the mule without shucking. And I was scratching down, and I scratching through the trash, and I could feel the ear of corn, and I grabbed it. And I was sort of the ear of corn, and I grabbed it, put it out, and it's a big old king snake. Oh, it was that long, the coldest thing I ever saw. And I dropped it and backed up, and I was wondering what I was going to do. I wasn't going to feed the mules. And I saw your daddy coming. And I said, come here quick. No, I said, you got a match. I want to see what the snake was. You got a match in your pocket? He said, I don't know. What do you want? I said, there's a snake in this crib. Well, you want me to burn the crib to find it? And I told him, no, I wanted it out there. And he went and scratched around down there. He found it, put his tail and held it up that way and picked it up on front. And then on there to catch rats. And I went crazy like and told her about it on the night at supper. And you, every one of it, are not going to that crib no more. You're not going to shut no
Well, that was at Kennesaw. Huh?
and a few days, he wanted, had to go to the mill, and he said, now, you children go down to the barn and turn a corn while he's going to do something else. And you told him flat you wasn't going in that crib. The snake was in there.
And he got it out in the hall for us, I remember that.
So, yeah. He told
We still had
He told me, he said, you make them go down there and chuck that corn. I said, now you heard, they told you, when you told them you put that snake back on corn, that they wasn't going in there and chuck corn. I said, I'm not going to let him go in there.
So we
Well,
put
he
out
went down,
the
and
shit.
ripped corn out in the hole of the barn, they had to chuck it in it.
So then we didn't care. I guess that was the last time
That you what?
we told him we wouldn't go in because we were gonna have to do it anyway.
Yeah, we just wanted to excuse.
Well,
Let's get
listen,
out a little work, man.
Yeah.
while you're thinking of other things along that line, Charlie, you're the
Oh,
one
really? I don't
haven't
think
seen
you
much
should
of.
ever
Let me
ride
ask
and
you
work
about
too
your
much.
your working life,
Sometimes
when you
even
first began to
Want to do
work.
something
When
else.
did you first leave home or go to service or
You
whatever?
know, when I first started working, cutting cord was 75 cents a cord.
Where were you doing that?
That'd be Kennesaw.
Right around in Kennesaw.
Yeah.
How much would you
Cut
make
a
a day?
cord, sometimes cut a cord in a day.
Mhm.
Had to walk from Kennesaw to Pine Mountain. That's about 2 or 3 miles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And who did you? There was a man up there. You mean you cut for? Or
Huh?
Farther than that one is cold. Right?
Yeah. Well, old Ben Hill's when I cut for.
Then what?
Cut cord with Ben Hill over at John. Where John
How old were you then?
Well, about 15, 16, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then I left there and went to Florida and worked on a celery farm down there for 2 or 3 years.
Celery farm.
Yeah, 75 cents a day.
How did you do that now? What was the work like? How would you
Mm,
describe
Pushing
it?
these little push plows and take a rake and rake through them and put fertilizer around it.
There was no tractor and it was all handwork.
Well, I had tractor to plow the ground, but no cultivating tractor.
Mhm.
It was done all with plows. 10-acre field work about 10, 12 people in.
Now this would have been around 1931, 32, the worst of the Depression. Huh?
Yeah.
And where did you live?
Land, I live in Sarasota.
Mhm.
You'd have a job for about 9 months out of the year, and 3 months you didn't have no job.
Well, they'd work you regular for 9 months.
Mhm.
Would you work in anything besides celery?
Not just celery farms, all they raised it.
And you did that for several years, couple of years?
Yeah, that's about 3 years.
What would you do during the 3 months that you
Well,
made
well,
money?
generally, 1 or 2 summers I'd left money with the family, and I'd catch a freight train hobo all summer. That's all I did.
Mhm.
Remember, I come by home one time, Mama was hoboing.
Where would you go when you were
I
hoboing?
went every state you could go into on the freight.
And you met all kind of people in
every
those
kind of people in the
hobo
world.
camps? Do you
Hobo
think it was
jungle.
an educational experience?
Oh, you
in
learned,
those?
learned more than that than you did going to school. Boy, good God.
Tell us about some of it. What you remember of the hobo?
Oh, just a
camps?
lot
Tell us,
you
Dr. West.
Ah, that's right. That was
No,
your
boy, I'm
PhD
telling
degree.
you.
That's right.
You learned a lot. You learned more ways than a little. You could learn crooked things, straight things, and every other thing.
Did you encounter do you think part of it was meeting such different kinds
Oh,
of
yeah,
people? It was
absolutely.
educational.
Yeah.
More like the purpose of sending a kid away for college
Yeah,
today,
that's
so you
about
can
the
meet
same
different
thing,
people.
yeah. Well, heck, you met some boys as a hobo in there. The dad'd be millionaires, maybe.
Hmm.
They just hoboed because everybody else was.
Now, how would you ride a freight?
I rode them everywhere.
Now,
Ride
how
'em
would
on
would you physically ride it? Where would you ride
Well,
on
if
the
you
freight?
get an empty car, you get inside. You keep
Mhm.
warm. If you couldn't, you get on top.
Mhm.
Some of the places you get to
Get
go
under
to,
them sometimes?
you get on the rods under them. Sometimes it's so rough you had to get out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the law would beat the hell out of you when they catch you in there.
Mm-hmm.
You just ride
Did you ever get beat up?
No, I never was lucky. I'd outrun them most of the time,
Mhm.
but I could run pretty fast.
And there were boys from all parts of the
All
country.
over the
huh?
world. Yeah. Even, heck, we would go by people's house, and if one at home, a lot of time we'd go in there to get something to eat with it. He said,
Mhm.
"No, we get hungry, you know."
Mm-hmm.
I remember I first started out hoboing, I had a brand new suit of clothes. I didn't have it when I got back. Somebody stole it from me. I trusted the hobo to watch it while I went to get something to eat
Now, where would you sleep in those hobo jungles? On the ground?
on the ground.
And you'd build,
You'd get some old
make a
paste,
mulligan stew
yeah.
or a fire?
Whatever you could bum somewhere, you'd mix it up and go out in the field.
Would the
steal it.
guys usually share together
Yeah,
pretty
they'd
well?
share it pretty well with you. Yeah, you learn how to strain canned heat and drink it and get drunk on that and everything
Mhm.
else.
Was it a long time between meeting your meals in those years? Or?
Yeah, it's quite a. Sometimes you get pretty hungry before you get in. Most of them-
What part of the country would you mostly ride in the southern part to be warmer, or would you go
Yeah.
north as well?
In the summer, it was not too cold north. I went all over in it.
Where'd you go? Do you remember some of the places you went?
I was out and went all out through Missouri and was in Alabama, up through Michigan. You used to get on a freight train wherever it went, that's where you'd go.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't care which way you was going.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, there was thousands of people doing that back then. You remember it, don't you? remember
Yeah,
that?
well, I was just a little, I was
Yeah.
a little younger, so I remember, you know, having cousins.
And never will
people.
forget my first freight train I caught too.
How was that?
Shoot, it was going too fast and I rammed a spike in my knee. That's when I was at Kennesaw.
Yeah, you were leaving Kennesaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I went hobbling back home and carried my old Doc Ellis out there. Man, it
You drove a spike right up
good
in you?
gosh, run up in my knee.
Crippled you, huh?
Yeah, it laid me up for a week or two before I could leave. Man.
That was a bad start, wasn't it?
Pretty rough, yeah. You were just a little bit of thing in, wasn't you?
Yeah, I remember it though. I think you was rolling Bugler cigarettes on them rollers.
You used to do what, really?
Yeah.
Using Bugler tobacco, he'd roll them with these little hand rollers, and they'd be like a ready-made.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those went on during all the 30s. I
And once in a while, he'd get a few pennies extra and buy a pack of Cools or something, whatever they had back then.
What do you remember about when you successfully got started that time? You did finally, your knee mended and you got going.
Yeah, we got well at. I stayed around home a while before I left then.
And was your family was still down in Florida? at
Yeah,
that
then I
time?
caught my freight train next time sitting still. It wasn't running. It was a long time before I tried to catch one running.
Mhm.
Yeah, get on them boogers sitting still. But go on it, and in Hoboken, when you go to some of them towns, they'd have bad sheriffs in.
They'd be waiting for you at
Be
the
waiting
yards.
on you, yeah. And you had to detour way around the yard and catch you on the other side. That's where you had to learn to catch them pretty fast.
Was that when the other hobos would help you pass
Yeah.
the word of where was tough
They'd pass
places?
it, yeah. Something like a grapevine. They'd tell you, you'd be meeting some be going one way and say, watch your next town. Now they got a bad sheriff there. You
Mhm. They didn't say it that nice.
know, they're a goddamn bad sheriff. Cost everything. Yeah. But Red Cross, I reckon Red Cross had them places they'd put up. They had boards at a slant
Yeah.
that you slept on them, that blame thing.
Where'd they put those at?
I don't know. It was one over in Birmingham, Alabama that I stayed one night with. For breakfast,
Stayed for free, but you had to sleep on a
had
slant
to sleep
board.
on a
That was
slat
to torture you?
board.
What was
I
that?
don't know what it was. It could have had them level, looks to me like.
Yeah.
But for breakfast, they give you one old hot dog, it's a Frank-like thing,
Yeah.
and a piece of stale bun. That's what you got for breakfast, and water and coffee. Then tell you to be out of town, not be there next night. Give you one night, that's all they give you.
Mhm.
A lot of them try to get locked up to get a meal, but they wouldn't lock you up in a lot of them towns.
Mhm.
They beat the hell out of them and let you go.
The basic reason in those days was that there was no chance to just eat, to make a
No,
living.
no,
Is that right?
couldn't.
No jobs.
No jobs or nothing.
Suppose while you were hoboing, you heard you could get a job somewhere. Then would guys take
Oh,
a
yeah,
job
they'd
for a
take
few
'em,
days,
yeah.
anything they
Mhm.
could get?
We gotta go home, Charles. Good night.
Whatever you could get, you'd take.
Mhm.
You got ready?
Yeah, man.
At each end of the field, they had little houses. Sort of a toilet, I guess. Dad wasn't very strong then. That's about the end of his life. He said he'd get in there with his hoe, he'd peep out the door, and he'd see the foreman coming, he'd get out and start hoeing again, or raking, whatever he was doing. He'd go to the other end, he'd go back in that little house, he'd peep out the door till he saw him coming again.
No, they
This
wouldn't.
was what? This was when your dad went
Yeah,
down
he
to
went down
Florida.
to
That one
Florida.
winter.
Was that in the 30s? One winter.
Yeah, he went
Yeah.
down to visit me, and
He had
I got
an
him a
awful
job.
cough.
That was while you were there.
Yeah.
So this would have been, you remember what year roughly? 31, 32, or was it later
Mama,
on?
what year did Papa come down to Florida to see me?
Huh?
What year did Papa come to Florida to see me?
Come down there to work.
He come down there to work one day.
Oh, he went down there to stay to keep from getting cold. Mainly.
But he worked while he
He
was down
worked
there.
while he was down there. I just don't remember what year it was. It was
31, 32,
Well, I was
wasn't
just a little fella, 'cause
Yeah.
Matt Tenner, we'd hold up Dad and I before he left. A heck of a lot of them alder poles and
No.
pole wood out of the woods. Had a heck of a pile. And I thought it was awful, a lot of work to be done. Something like John Henry and Matt Tyner cut all them up in one day with a chopping axe. He had the awful
Matt Tyner was like John Henry, huh?
Yeah, he cut all that up in one day. We had the awfulest pile of wood you ever saw. We had to have it for the winter.
Yeah, when Papa Dan went down to the, I know we went down to the bay, he said, well, I see I put my hand in the ocean one time before I died. Went down to the bay,
Yeah,
and I thought that was
Sarasota.
awesome.
You remember that,
I
huh?
remember him doing it.
Well, in the Gulf. He put it in the bay.
It was in the bay.
in the bay part of the Gulf.
But he thought it was
But it
ocean.
was salt, and to him that was
So
ocean.
that in the ocean.
Yeah, that was a true sort of thing, because he was going back to the mountains.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything else from his trip down there? He was sort of frail already, a little bit.
Yeah, he was sick. He had that bad cough. But he worked out on the farm. Of course, man gave him an easy job, you know. They used
Yeah.
to send it for a little rake. He wasn't too strong at that. I know what, he'd go from one end to the other, like Rudy said, that's what he did.
Peep out the cracks.
Yeah,
It's
he'd
coming.
see the foreman coming, boy, he'd get out and go to raking like a devil. But it wasn't nothing then. I'd pick up a 200-pound sack of fertilizer and throw it up on my shoulder,
Yeah.
carry it halfway across one of them fields. They used to fertilize 200-pound bags.
200-pound
200-pound bags.
You
Reach
hear that,
down on the
really?
ground.
I remember that.
I reached down on the ground, I could pick one
That's
up
a lot
and
of
throw it right on
July,
and
isn't
throw it
it,
right on my shoulder and walk across that dad blame field with it.
You wouldn't try that now?
You'll see.
Well, this little fella last year was sick. I'd have to split that 200-pound bag.
I haven't tell a joke on him once. I followed him once. His daddy was sick. And he had no mule, 2 ways to do
Who are
anything.
you saying this joke is on?
Rudy.
Rudy, yeah.
He just a little bitty thing. Now he wasn't big enough. Boys that size now would be sitting there.
Honey, we gotta go home.
He had in their mother's lap, I guess, out doing some meanness. He had to get wood. We was out of wood. And I couldn't leave his daddy and go to the wood. He took old Toad, the old mule dead up in that time. Went up on the hill from the railroad. He found on the railroad land up above the house. Found a good sized tree up there. He's going to drag it in with the mule. Lost his knife. I cut no switch to cook the hill with. His daddy kept worrying. Now he ought to be back. Now that poor little fellow ought to be back. I'll be all right. You go up there and see what he's doing. He might got him hurt. So I went on up there. And I could hear him. He just thought of that mule with the bark on. I heard him say, whoa, and I got where I could see him. Whoa! Went around, he picked up the little end of that log, the mule wouldn't pull it. He picked up the little end of the log, get it from around the big end, and lift it. Now, Toad, damn your heart, he didn't know how to hear him. Damn your heart, I've lifted both ends of the thing, and I know you can pull it. And he come down. Old Toad's gone after it. He didn't know anywhere around.
When did you join the Army? You remember your first enlistment?
That was in...
Well, shit, Mike, how was...
No, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't even know me then.
You mean that was the first regular Army one? You first were in?
I joined that in 1930, about 33, I believe.
In the summer? Or
Yeah, in the fall of the year.
where did they keep
When
you?
it
at
was,
Fort?
Mom? Fort McPherson.
For the whole time?
Yeah.
Was it a 3-year enlistment?
Yeah.
And one time? Then you
Yeah,
came
I was
out?
so goddamn mean in there, though. Woo.
You were?
They put me on guard duty. I'd hide my rifle and belt and take off town and get drunk.
Was that was...
At Fort
Well, that was
McPherson.
right after that depression.
Yeah.
It was a rough period, huh?
$21 a month. $20.75.
20.75, huh?
Yeah. That's all they paid the soldiers. Man.
And you came out in 36 then?
Yeah.
You didn't re-enlist?
Yeah.
You did?
No, I didn't until the war started.
Yeah.
War or something like that back then.
Early night.
Mama, I want you to... I'd like you to tell me, you said you remembered another sister that, or a sister that James C. Mulkey, who was Kim Mulkey's daddy, had.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Easter. I don't
Easter.
know. Yeah.
Was she older or younger, do you think?
I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It won't make too much difference, I don't guess. But I just remember hearing Dad talk about her.
Where did she live?
And she lived somewhere in Gilmer County, you know.
Have any idea who she married? Anything stick in your mind?
Well, she must have married a Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had there was a Graham that John Graham. I heard Dad talk about him. He's a funny old feller. He's always grunting and complaining. There's always something hurting him, and there was anything wrong with him. He got sick one time. Grandpa was a doctor, and he went out there and he gave him some medicine. I heard my dad tell that. He come back and said there wasn't anything the matter with John. He was just putting on. One thing wrong with him, he didn't like to work. He didn't have to get out of work. Grandpa went over one day and you want to know, Jim, I'm not a bit better. I don't, I'm going to have to give you that medicine. Well, Grandpa got up the next morning, and before they got breakfast ready, he heard somebody whistling. There's Uncle Giles coming down the road. And you won't have to give me that bad dose of medicine. Now, I've heard Dad laugh about that a lot, about Uncle Giles switching off of that bad dose of medicine.
Let me just back up a minute. What you said you remembered about your grandfather's sister, is that right?
Yeah.
Name of Easter.
I said what brought her to mind was I was thinking one day, I was just going over a little songs and things I knew a long time ago, and a little song coming to my mind that the boys made was, and I thought that it was Grandpa's sister that they made the song about. She was like a person at the time, and she used to make gingerbread all the time, and she'd make them in cakes. Well, they used that, and in school, the last day of the school, teachers always treated the children. They give them, well, and when I can remember, it was always candy. They'd have a little bunch of candy they'd give to each one. Well, they got Aunt Easter made gingerbread. She'd make these little cakes about 2 inches wide, I guess, and 3 or 4 inches long. They're good size, and she'd make a bunch of them for the school.
No special shape to them, just two
squares, just cut in the squares. You just roll her dough out, and then cut them in, take a knife, just cut them in squares. She didn't measure them or anything. But she'd make them for the last day of the school. And said there was somebody, never did know who he was. They called him Gussie Bill, that's all I ever heard. But the boys made a song about Aunt Easter. And I heard my daddy sing it a number of times. He used to tell us about it, about her making the gingerbread, you know. And he'd sing that song to me. And it was, but when she'd get they'd go to school, you know, and they'd pass them gingerbread, line the children all up in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these boys, some of the Devilish boys at school, they made up this song. It's Aunt Easter's a ginger cake maker. My uncle, he tended the mill, who drank only good old corn liquor. Nobody but old Gussie Bill. Well, they all get a big laugh out of that.
You don't know which relative Gussie Bill was?
No,
do you?
I don't know. It was some of the family, I guess. He was awfully bad to drink. He drank. Well,
But you haven't figured out where he fitted into this
no,
family tree.
he just happened in there somehow. His name was Gussie Bill. I never did know that the last part of his name, or that was all I was what it was.
And you still remember that custom of children being treated to candy and cakes at the end of school?
I
in your time?
I never went to school in my life that I didn't go. I went the last day if I'd had to crawl to got that candy.
You think it had something to do with the kids enjoying school too?
Well, yes, they all look forward to it. But some would go, some wouldn't go to school maybe 2 days a week. Maybe wouldn't be there in 2 weeks till the last day, and then they'd go. And they'd go in, and as soon as they got that candy, they'd hop out the door.
Must have
and
been
holler
awful
about it
good
and go.
candy, huh?
Huh?
Was good candy and cake.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now this afternoon we were talking. I asked you when it was that you detected in Don anything extraordinary or unusual in his behavior as a child. It might have.
Well, I said it was natural for him. He's always more or less a serious-minded kid. When he was small, he wasn't into too much mischief. He was more serious-minded and he liked to talk with older people. He sat and talked with Dad till I'd get worried with him and asking him questions. He always get Dad starting out on the Civil War. He liked that better than anything. And Dad would always answer his questions and explain things to him. And he's always unusually quiet for a kid. I don't know why, but I guess probably it was because he was with me more than he was other children. There wasn't too many around, and children then all had to work at home. They had something to do at home. It was very seldom that he got time to play with other children, except at school. And he would do little funny things, and things unusual. But and I could always catch him. I always caught him at it, and he never did know why. He's told me after he grew up that he thought it was worse than useless to try to tell me a lie and get by. I always knew what he was doing.
You said you told him stories too, and you
Oh
read
yes,
to
I
him?
told him a lot of stories, read to him. I'd read to him little books that he could understand. And
What
he
would
did-
you read from? Was there any
well,
magazine that you took?
magazines, magazines.
What was the name of any magazine?
Oh, there's one, the Comfort magazine. It was published in Augusta, Maine. I took that paper for years and years. I never did let my subscription run out. I'd always have it paid in advance. I had paid up about a year and a half when they went out of business.
Which was about the time you left Gilmer County, something
I
like that?
was, yeah, about that time. I never, they quit publishing that paper in about 19 and 14, I believe. Right long, sometime during the First World War, they went out of business. And it was a nice little old paper. It had several pages in there in it for called the Comfort League of Cousins.
League of Cousins.
League of Cousins, yeah. Anybody could send in their name to the paper, and they'd put it in this column. And then anyone that wanted to write to just pick out a name out of that column. And Don wrote one. He joined.
How old was he, you think?
Well, he was about 10, 11 years old, I guess. Well, he got I don't know, he got several letters. He got letters from a Don West in Alabama.
Hmm.
And he was wondering, he wrote to Don, he saw his name in the paper and he wrote, he was wondering if there's any relation or where the name come from. They wrote, exchanged letters there for a good long while. And then 2 or 3 girls wrote to her. And he'd get a letter from one of these girls, give it to me, and read that and answer it for me. I wrote all of his letters for a long time. And that was after he was, he wrote to these girls after he was 15, 16 years old. I get a lot of fun out of it during his letter writing.
Now, when did he first hear of Berry School, or when in Gilmer County did that first come up?
That was before we left Gilmer County.
And when was he aware of it
That-
in Gilmer County?
Well, it was when the Walker children went.
Who were they? Who were the
It
Walkers?
was, John Walker, he lived just across the field from where we lived at the time. And he had there's 2 girls and 2 boys. And they all went to
Who were they?
various
Do you remember?
schools. There's Willie and Clarence and Ora and Erin.
Mhm.
They didn't all go at the same time. The older ones, the boys were oldest, and they went, they'd been there a year or 2 before the girls went. And they all graduated from Berry School.
What became of them?
And, Willie was a teacher. He taught in Florida. I forget the name of the place where
Mhm.
but he taught school there till, I reckon, till he died. He died in his, I forget what year it was, but anyway, he taught all the time, and Clarence studied law. He was a good lawyer, they said. He's dead now.
Where did
died.
he practice?
He practiced in Atlanta
Mhm.
after he finished up school, and he was I don't know, had something to do with the Berry School as long as he lived. He was
Trustee, maybe, or something?
yeah, something like that. And the girls taught school for a while, and then they married. And there's out of the family of 7, there's only 2 living now, the Walkers.
And then, so Don had some early acquaintance in this way with the Berry School.
Oh
even
yeah,
though he didn't go to it.
he used to talk to the Walker boys about it. They was grown when he was a small boy. He'd talk to them about, ask them about the school, and they always had time to talk to him and tell him things.
How did Don happen to follow it up himself? Do you remember? Did he visit the Berry School? Did
Well,
he
he
go
got to. They got at one time. See, we lived in Douglas County, I believe, when he went to Berry. And they sent out these little pamphlets, or circulars, or whatever you
to
call
the
them.
high school, maybe?
As advertising for the school. They wanted all the
Mhm.
students they could get. And he made up his mind. He got talking with his Uncle Horace, and he thought it was a pretty good thing.
Horace had not gone there, though.
No, he hadn't gone. He went to the
Don was the first in the family to go to the Berry
Yeah.
School, or to
Don Nelson.
get a college education. Was that right?
They went to
Before
some.
that, he helped string these telephone lines all through this country?
No, he did that while he was in Berry
Or
School.
electric lines or something?
The Bell telephone, he worked around Cleveland, Helen, Dallas.
Rescue?
He did that now when he was about how old?
Oh, no, that was while he was in Berry School. He went
Was
to
that his
Berry
first
School
job as working out?
Well, no, he worked at Demarest, Alabama once. Building a pool, a swimming pool there. I don't know whether it's something to do with the Berry School, but he worked there one summer one vacation, and paid Elsa's tuition for a year.
But that was after you left Gilmer County?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He left, we was in Douglas County when he went. And then the next summer he worked on the telephone line and just anything he could get to do.
Telephone line was all through North Georgia, like
Yeah.
Woody says. And he did that in the summers while he, how many years did he go to Berry School?
He went about 3, I think.
Did he first finish high school in Douglas County, or did he
no,
transfer into
yeah, I
Berry
don't-
School?
Yeah, I guess he finished high school.
And then he went to Berry
He only
School.
went to the 10th grade then.
Yeah, and then he
And then he
went
went to Berry School.
2 more years at Berry School.
Uh-huh.
Then did he go directly to Vanderbilt or to
No,
Lincoln?
not to Lincoln
What,
Memorial.
directly, or did he work for several years?
Well, no, he only worked through the summer. He
What
could-
did he do those summers besides stringing?
Well, I
fiddles?
don't know. After he left home and that, he just worked at different things that he could get.
And he met
No.
Mabel at Lincoln Memorial?
No,
Or was that later?
I think he went to. Yeah, around Berea. I think she was in.
She was attending Berea and he was at
Uh-huh.
Lincoln
And then he
Memorial.
went to Vanderbilt.
He got his degree at Lincoln Memorial and then went to Vanderbilt for his
Yeah.
bachelor's.
Went to Vanderbilt, and then he went to Europe for.
Denmark one year, huh?
Yeah, Denmark.
And then it was after that that he became very active in public affairs or
Oh,
whatever you'd
yeah.
say. And
It was after that. Oh, it was after he married, I guess. Or he might have had.
now,
after
did
he-
Mabel have
after
any
he-
brothers or sisters besides that one brother?
Jack and Addie's was
Who?
her sister. Addie was her.
Jack.
Younger
Now,
than
Jack
her.
died
Jack-
in Spain,
Jack
huh?
and Addie were
Both younger?
Uh huh.
And Jack was older than Addie?
Yeah.
And then Addie, where
no,
does she?
Jack was the younger.
Youngest.
Mm-hmm.
He died in Spain, and where does Addie live?
She's at Louisville, Kentucky.
Who is she married to?
She married a Rankin.
Rankin.
Uh-huh.
Drinks Geritol.
She does or he does?
That's the one Don couldn't get over.
Well, this was when Don was small. He was about 8, 10 years old, I guess. We lived there at the foot of Burt Mountain and went to school. It was about a half mile from where we lived to the schoolhouse. Well, those children lived on a mile and a half above. Well, they'd make it to the house in time to go on to school with Don and Elsie. And there never was any trouble. They all well behaved themselves. But the other bunch, there's the Gaddises and Reeses. The 2 families that lived above us that went to school the same way that Don Nelson went. And they'd have fights on the road. Well, the kids would just fight like cats. And Don never would. Never had a fight with one of his schoolmates in his life, I don't reckon. He'd stand back and laugh at him. He'd say, "Oh, boys, I wouldn't do that. One of you would get whipped directly." And he just stayed out of it. He didn't, and they all got along with him. He had, and so one day they started the school. Before this, during the vacation, I guess, everybody had wild hogs back in Gilmer County, in Burnt Mountain, Gilmer and Dawson and Pickens, the 3 counties right there. They cornered about 3 miles from where we lived.
They were like on open range?
Yeah, it's open range. You know, everybody had fenced the crops and let their cattle
Yeah.
and hogs and mules and anything, the sheep or anything they had run out in the mountains. It was about all most of the land up there was fit for us. So rough that you couldn't cultivate it. And it was a good stock range. Anybody that wanted to just turn a little old ruddy pig out, live or die, and not mark it. I think it always marked their ears.
How would they do that?
Well, they got some would take just crap off the tip end of each ear, and that was too smooth crap. That'd be one one man's mark. Well, another would crap one ear, and that'd be a smooth crap in the right or the left, whichever one it was. Maybe the next man would have it in the left, and then they'd have the swaller fork, and that was the swaller fork. You'd take this catch the ear up that way and just cut out a little notch in the top of the ear, and that was the swaller fork. And then the under bit was a little notch cut out on the underside of the ear. And the over bit was the same thing on the upper side of the ear.
And left and right and so forth.
Yeah, everybody knew the mark. And I've heard people talk about it. I know Don he come in one day and my mother was at the house, and she liked to tease him because he was so serious and took everything just like you meant it. And he come in and he said, Mama, I know Mr. Bob Kincaid's mark. And I said, you do? Yeah, he said it's swaller fork in the right. Swaller fork in the right ear. Now that was just a oblong slit cut out there, and it looked like a fork, like something similar to that. And Mother was in the kitchen, and she said, well, I declare, never heard tell of that. Don said, what? Well, you said Bob Kincaid swore the fork. Oh, they had it up and down. She'd argue with him, and he'd get mad and he'd say something sort of ugly once in a while. It sounded kind of crabby and cross, and I'd mumble something at him, and she'd say, I'll leave him alone. And I was aggravating him, and I was the cause of that, and I know Don doesn't do that.
Now, they only marked their wild hogs. The cattle they recognized?
No, they didn't mark the wild hogs wasn't marked. That's what I was leading up to. They'd, anybody that wanted to would just turn a bunch of hogs out, or a hog, one hog, out without a mark. Then he had a claim on the wild hog. And it made no difference if he'd get out.
Oh, yeah, he was getting his.
Yeah, he had wild hogs out in the mountains.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of them out there, and I was afraid of
So
them.
what were they marking? They'd marked not their wild hogs, but their other hogs? Were they?
Yeah, well, they just marked their hogs, and a lot of people wouldn't mark their hogs, and then they would catch them as wild hogs, and nobody paid any attention to it. Anybody that...
We're talking about the marking of the wild, not of the wild, but of the hog's ears that are on the open range.
Yeah.
And would you tell me something about how they went about it?
Well, now they had different marks. Each farmer had a certain mark for his hog. And there's two swaller forks. Well, I'd say a swaller fork and an underbit in the ear. Well, now that's a swaller fork. See that? That's a swaller fork. And now this is
It's like a V-shaped notch down from the top. Okay.
Well, now this is a underbit in the left. That's the underbit in the left. Now that's a swaller fork and underbit in the left. That was one man's mark. That's everybody knew who that mark belonged to. Well, if they took a swaller fork and an underbit and an overbit in the left, well, they just take out another little bit right out there, top side of that ear. That one.
That's an underbit and that's an overbit.
Underbit, this is an overbit on the top of the ear. And some would mark them with two smooth craps, they call it. Two smooth craps.
Crap.
And the underbit and the right. And some with two smooth craps and two underbits. Two smooth craps and that.
If they said left, it meant just the left ear.
Okay. It was one ear. Some just have one ear crapped off. And some just have two smooth craps, no other markings, just the tips of the ears cut off like that. Well, everybody knew that that mark and who it belonged to.
They have them registered at the courthouse?
No, they didn't have them registered, but the neighbors in the community knew. And as I told you a while ago, the people would come, I've known people to come down to my dad, and they maybe live several miles away. And they said, Mr. Market, there's 3 hogs over, come up with my hogs. And Dad said, well, was it marked? Yes, it had a swallow fork. Oh, 2 swallow forks and an underbit in the right, and that was Dad's mark. That was 2 swallow forks in each ear, swallow fork in each ear, and this underbit in the right, and that was Dad's mark.
What was Kim Mulkey's mark again? 2 swallow?
2 swallow forks and an underbit in the right.
Okay. Do you remember any other
on the right
markings?
ear. Oh, yeah, there's 2 swallow forks and 2 underbits.
I mean, do you remember who they were connected with?
Oh, no, I
besides-
don't know.
You remember your own families?
Grandpa West's mark was 2 smooth craps. And our mark was 2 smooth craps and an underbit in the left. And then the family lived down below us, the widow lived down there. Hers was 2 smooth craps and an underbit in the right. And it's all this. Well,
Did the hogs know all that?
they must have. They always come
Now-
home when you call them.
Now tell me,
You get out and call your own hogs, and they'd
let me
come.
hear how you'd call them.
And the others.
Let me hear you
Oh,
call them.
now I couldn't call a hog. So we get out, pigoo, 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 and
You knew your
them
tone
darn
voice.
hogs knew the master's call. Dad'd get out and call his hogs. And
Did you always
they'd
feed
be-
'em when you
I've
called
been
'em?
going along the woods, there'd just be bunches of hogs everywhere. And I'd be going along and I'd hear Daddy calling them. And maybe there'd be a bunch out there, they'd raise up and listen. Go on back to rooting. Dad's hogs would listen while they'd take off kids for home. They knew they'd get corn when they got there.
They would, where would they come? Right up to the house? Except
Yeah,
the garden
up
was
to the-
fenced
to
off.
The
right?
barn gate.
The fields were the only thing fenced off.
Yeah, there's a place that they trough, they fed them, and if you had shell corn, he'd pour in that trough, and they'd come up and eat. Sometimes he'd throw out a wagon load of apples out there, and they'd eat on them all till they got all they wanted. And,
Now no poachers?
huh?
Now tell us about poaching.
Crackers coming in?
No,
Well,
that's
that's
what
what-
I was telling him
Well,
about.
tell us that story
When
again. That's
the
the story.
man,
connected with it.
people would turn, they had wild hogs in those mountains. You know, the old man Burleson, the dad lived with him the year he came back from Texas. And he had wild hogs. I mean, he had a bunch of them. Now, they was his, I reckon. He turned them out there. Well, he kept these big old, he called them bear dogs. And he'd get out in the mountains and round them hogs up, put them dogs in the bucket. And the men that helped him would have to climb trees. Burleson always rode a old mule, he's a big old, heavy set man. Well, he weighed about 300 pounds. And he rode a mule about as big as he was, looked like. And he was out with the men one day, and he rounded up, and the dogs got after the hogs, and they went right towards where Burleson was. Some of the men saw him. They said, "Look out, Burleson! You better get out of the way." And the rest of them, the men went up a tree. And Burleson jumped off that mule. He went to a little slip maple, and he jumped just as high as he could and locked his arms around it, and his legs slid right down to the ground, sitting on the side of the hill, sitting on the ground, hugging that maple sapling. After the hogs got settled, some of the men said, "Where are you at, Burleson?" "Oh, we're up here in this maple." And sitting on the ground, hugging.
How about telling about what happened about this fellow Jeff Reese, what he was like?
Well, he
The
killed
incident with the school.
this fellow's hog, and he caught him at it. And he told him Jeff had turned out some pigs that wasn't marked. Naturally, he had wild hogs out in the mountains. He found this nice hog up there, decided he wanted some meat, and he went out, got ready, and had it just about dressed when Mr. Miller walked up on him. And that hog was marked, it belonged to his son. And he told him, he said, now Jeff, you know that's my son's hog. And he said, it's his mark. And he said, there's one of two things you can do. So you can pay me for that hog, or pay me my price for that hog, or we let the court settle it. Of course, he paid his price, because that was a pretty bad crime to steal a hog. It was marked. Well, he talked about it at home, I guess, and his children thought they would help him out a little. He was planning some way to get even with the old man, because he caught him stealing his hog. They started doing mischief, devilment, just destroying stuff on the farm. They just go through the fields and stomp down his corn, and then it was raining a lot, the creek had been out of the bank, and it was muddy. They'd go down and it just rained just about I believe Jeff had 4 or 5 boys going to school, and then there was 4 from another family. So they were all in together. And they separate. They'd go to the edge of that field and they'd separate, and then they'd go all over that place, stomping, going down, it's up about waist high. I went down one day to see if the creek had gone down. Don Nelson was going to school and didn't have a little narrow pole across the creek. And I always went to meet him at the creek in the evening, about the time I thought he'd come home from school. And I thought I went down there, the sun had shined out, and I went down to see if the creek had gone down to its normal size, and I got to the edge of the field and I saw some 2 or 3 stalks of corn just mashed down, and the mud wasn't very deep there, but it just mashed down. And I saw the tracks, and I went a little further, and I kept looking, and I was all over that field. Some of it just a little blades of the corn sticking out of the sand, and went on to the creek, and just before I got to where they turned to go on the footlog, there was a little stalk of corn about so high, and it had sand raked up and bitted up around it, near to the top. I looked at that a long time and wondered about it. I went on back to the house, and the children come home that evening. I asked them if the creek had gone down. And yeah, Don said it's down about as normal. And I said, I started down there. I started down there since dinner, and after the sun shined out, I stared about it, and I thought, I got to the edge of the field, and I said, I saw something looked terrible in there. He said, what was it? I said, somebody had stomped Mr. Miller's corn down, and it was his habit. And he thought I was going to catch him. He'd start like that. He said, Mama, them Reese boys and Gaddises, they went all over that field and stomped the corn down. And I said, I just wondered. And I said, I don't know, what part did you have in it? He got a long breath, and he said, well, I'll tell you, Mama, he said, they called me a coward. He said, I didn't want to. I didn't stomp down in it. Told him I wasn't going to, and said, they called me a coward. chicken, yellow-legged, and everything else. And he said, just to get them to hush, he said, I stalked down, I stalked the corn. I down nearly at the creek, and then I went on and said, I got across the creek and said, I told them a lie. And told him that I forgot my pencil at home and had to come back to get it. And he said, got back across over there and said, I raked sand up, propped that stalk of corn up and raked sand up all around it. Do you reckon it'll live? Of course,
That was an illustration, I think, you told me of the fact that he was a little different, extraordinary
yeah,
as a child.
yeah.
Right?
He was
Easy
different.
to discipline.
Really, it was. And he didn't know that I had seen that stalk of corn, and I knew that he was telling the truth about it. I knew that it had happened just like he said it. And then I told him that was. I asked him why the other boys did it. Well, Mr. Reese was mad at Mr. Miller because he caught him cleaning Lodge's hog, and I said that was something to get mad at a man about. And then I told him what I said. Now it was a much more cowardly act for them to do something to destroy his stuff because their daddy was mad at him than it was for you to go on and refuse. And they kept that up for a long time, and he had a fence built a cross fence between him and the next farm next to him below us. Well, they got to tearing this fence down. I don't know, rascals, they would tear that fence down and drag the rail as far as near the store and pitch them in the creek. On the way to school now. It's always late to get to school. And tell the teachers they have
I
to
haven't
help.
heard of the Muellers before. What were they, Methodists? I don't think
Baptists.
Were they?
Yeah.
Were they in the lists of people that went to that same school? Did their children go to that same school?
Oh, well, they didn't have any children at that time, but
Oh,
their
yeah.
children had gone to that school.
Well, maybe Mueller was the family you said you were closest to as good friends. Were they the ones?
Which,
You said there was a couple you were very close to.
oh
when you
yes,
were
it
young.
was one of the boys,
Who?
Philip, yeah.
What do you remember about Dee Dee when she was young, Elsie? Any little incidents?
Well, she was,
She wasn't as independent as Dawn, or what was she like in her own way?
well, in her way, she was more independent.
More
She-
independent.
you
Okay.
give her orders, tell her to do something,
Yeah.
and she'd turn her head to one side and give you a funny grin, and you had to make her know that she meant it. She was a little bit of difference in her and Dawn. And she was more wilder disposition. She get into more mischievous things. And
A little more fun-loving.
Yeah,
Well, then the next one that came along was Lemma, huh?
yeah.
What do you remember of her as a child?
Well, Charlie told you just about the thing with her. She was usually,
She was
Was-
real nervous too.
she was
Along with her.
sick all of her life. She was a very delicate child. From
When
a
did you
baby
first
on
notice
up.
it, Mom? As an infant?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you have any, were you under any special stress while you were pregnant with her, do you think? Or was there
Well,
any,
no, nothing more. than-
just as a child you first noticed
Uh-huh.
her, she was fragile and
Yeah.
sickly?
Yeah.
Remember
she-
Bloomer Age when they wore those big long things down over their legs?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember Lemmer had a argument with Dad mostly in with Mama, and we had what we call the front room at the house that Kennesaw. Had a screen window on it. Well, the big window was up. And she went right through that screen and took off down across the field.
I mean, in an argument, she.
Yeah. Well, I remember she was real nervous.
Yeah, she's nervous and she has
High
a
strung.
pretty high temper.
And she went right straight through that screen without stopping.
Head first.
And she
That was deliberately. She was just
Yeah.
in anger.
She was getting out of that room.
Right then.
And they were between her and the door, so that's the only way out. She went through the screen.
I remember that room, but the screen was where? Like a door? It was a
On the
screen.
front porch.
Yeah.
It was a window just like that window.
Yeah.
There's a window.
Screen.
The window was raised. And just this bottom half was
She bent down and went right through.
just went right through it. That worried me a lot.
That was just a
That
couple
was
of
just
years,
a-
or it was
just a little
a good
fella.
bit before she died.
Oh, that's before she married.
Before she married, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think she wasn't, say, grown. About 15,
Then
16.
after she died, the doctors in Marietta there at the hospital said that, didn't they say that one reason, one thing that could have caused it was putting cream in the coffee that she drank?
Yeah,
That it could do something to her stomach?
yeah, the cream in the coffee. There's something that it did to the caffeine. There's some trouble there. I don't.
Didn't make much sense, did it?
No,
For what?
and
They
then
never
I
diagnosed her. They
No.
never said she had ulcers or she
Well,
had.
they didn't know
In that
really
case,
what was wrong with
99%
her.
of the people around there was
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Everybody puts cream in their coffee. So.
The doctor that treated her said there's nothing wrong with her was her nerves. She's just on the verge of a nervous breakdown. All she needed was quiet.
They told you that earlier.
Oh, they told her that when she got sick during her last.
How
sickness.
long was she sick before she died?
Well, about 3 weeks. But she was real sick. Now her health had been better that summer than it had.
What were her symptoms at that time? Mom? How long
Well-
after Marie? How old was Marie? 2 years old?
No, she wasn't 2 years old, I don't think, when mother died.
Well, you was born in 34. Grandma died in 37.
Maria was born in 34.
That's what we're
I
guessing,
think
that
so.
she's 35.
I don't know. I'm not got her birth date.
Well, you go ahead. Now, let's say she was only a year old, but it wasn't connected
Well,
with childbirth.
Oh no,
Pretty close to that now.
Mhm.
no, it wasn't.
So not all,
She always had the trouble with her side.
What was the trouble? Did she run a fever?
Just pains. Just
Pain? Was it
pains.
deep,
Well, yes,
sharp
it'd run
pain?
into, she'd get a temperature. It was
Mhm.
lasting long enough.
Mhm.
But
She was disabled when this happened.
when it first, before she died, about 3-4 weeks before she died, she went out to get a bucket of water one day. Went out to the well, drew a bucket of water, and she had to step down about a foot, step up on the curbing. She got her water and stepped down, and when she stepped down on the ground, pain struck her in her side, and she dropped the bucket of water, and John caught her before she fell, and he carried her in the house, and come after me. No, he didn't come after me. He stayed up with her all night. With hot claws on her side. He came after me the next day. Well, it started just like that, and then she got to where it just got so bad that she, all at once, she just began to draw and just get tense, and she,
Sound like appendicitis.
and it was in her
How much of a fever was she running?
I don't know. Didn't have any way of checking that, but the doctor never seemed, he didn't seem to think, he said just her nerves and nothing. Come up there and he'd tell John, the neighbors would come in and he'd argue about that. You just got too many in here. I know these neighbors mean well, but all she needs is rest and quiet. And her mother's and all that's needed in here. Just keep them out done. And it didn't do any good, of course. But
Where was she living then?
She'd be
J.P. Kemp place.
They were tenant on this place, which was how far from you?
on Pine Mountain. Well,
3.5 miles, 4 miles.
well, she'd be lying. This looked like perfectly easy, and all at once, her hand would just come up like this, or she's bad to lie on her side with her hand under her face that way, or she had this hide pull off her face, or when that would strike her, her hand would just come together and she'd just claw her. And she'd just get just as stiff as a board. You could pick her up, put your hand on her head and raise her straight up, she'd never bend.
This had happened a good many times in her
Oh
life.
yeah, just where you never knew when it was. I had to watch her all the time, and she'd draw and to take all of my strength to keep her on the bed. And she wasn't a very big person, and I don't know. Marie was just, I don't know how old she was, but I know she's hung on to her mother. And one day she was, had one of those spells. She was drawing and I couldn't hold her. And John was out hunting for his cow. He traded cows. When he went dry and he traded her for, wanted to give him the milk, she got out and left. He told me he was going to hunt the cow, and he said, I'll get back just as quick as I can. Well, Lemon seemed better when he left. And one of them spells hit her, and couldn't do it. I just thought she was going to get out on the floor in spite of all I could do, and I just said to myself, I guess, I wish John was here. Marie said, I'll get him, and she went to the porch. I never heard she screaming in my life. She calling for John. Mama needs you. And two of the neighbors was going passing the road right below the house, and they come up to the house, and they helped me to hold her. We got her back straight in the bed, and the doctor was coming. I didn't know what time he'd be there, but he come in just about the time John did, and he started that again. Now I'll tell you, Dunn, there's nobody, you don't need nobody in here but her mother. She's enough to look after her, and there's Bob Moore and Jerry Beard. And one of them said, well, I'll tell you, doctor, one thing certain, if we hadn't come in here when we did, she'd have been out on the floor. She said her mother just couldn't handle it. And he still didn't give it up, though. And then she got to where she couldn't see. I don't know, her eyes looked normal, and I didn't notice it till one Sunday evening. I was sitting and Maria was playing around, crawling around in the floor, and I was sitting there on a fan there, sitting beside the bed. Marie wasn't doing anything she wasn't touching me. And all at once, Lemon raised up, and I never saw such pounding as she done that kid. And I said, honey, what are you doing? I said, she wasn't doing anything. She said, now, Mama used well to hush. She said, I'll never sit and see a kid of mine spit in. in your face. And I said, she wasn't spitting in my face, Marie. She was down playing in the floor. Well, she said, I thought she was. And something, I tried to show her something, and she couldn't see it. But she couldn't see it, and then she got to where she couldn't swallow.
Mm.
And I asked the doctor about it. And he said, well, Dawn, you just better get her to the hospital. He said, they take her down there, and the nurses will give her nourishment. The doctors take care of her, and the nurses will give her nourishment and her medicine regular, and they leave off this petting. Sort of made me mad. I asked him whose fool he thought I was. I said, that girl not capable of demanding any petting or anything else. I said, she don't know. I said, why? I said, she can't swallow, and I said, she can't see. Well, you just better get to the hospital, Dawn. They'll take care of her down there.
They did.
Yeah,
How long did she last in the hospital?
a week. He said to take her down there,
Do you feel the
And in a
doctors ever
week's time-
diagnosed her?
and in a week's time,
Because that's a
no.
very young woman dying. I mean, you know.
He said if you
20,
take her to the
was she
hospital,
26?
in a week's time she'd be practically all right. Otherwise, she'd be past any help. The doctors at the hospital didn't find out what was the matter with her till about 24 hours before she
Then
died.
did they know anything?
Well, they said there was encephalitis.
What, encephalitis of the brain?
And encephalitis of the brain and the spine. It started, I guess, in the spine. And there's nothing. They told me I was down there at 9 o'clock one night. And they said, they hadn't found it then, don't guess. And they said, well, she's holding her own. I've got a thing in the world to fight. Just build her up. She was in a coma first. From the time, a week, till the time she was in the hospital. And they didn't, I don't think there's any diagnosis done in
I
any.
remember going to that hospital and in her room. I was just a little bitty kid then. And every time I drive down that street and see that thing, I think of it.
You still do.
Yeah.
Well, the nurses, I found out what care she got after
They let her fall out of bed.
They were always big as your hand.
Basically, they never diagnosed her, wasn't that it? The doctors never did their job.
I know.
They never found out what was wrong, so they never knew what to give her. Because,
This old crap about the cream and the coffee.
well, that
that's
kind
the
of
first.
thing is nonsense. So to come up with encephalitis, why didn't they find it out in the... Did they ever do a spinal tap? Did they ever do anything?
But they told me that last night I was there, about 9 o'clock. That she was liable to snap out of that coma just any time. That there's one, they had one patient in there that just
Yeah.
had been there for a week or two, and it all at once revived and was ready to go home.
Back to your historical part, though, if Marie was able to go out and scream, it would go back to this 1934. When Marie was born, 1937, when Lemma
Yeah.
died, because she'd had to have been at least 2.5, 3 years old, so that part is
Well,
pretty
she
rough.
might have been 2 or going on 3,
Well,
something.
I
like
don't
that.
know this
Yeah.
exact. I don't.
I don't
Well,
have
I
it.
figure if you're going to go on that one.
Yeah, well, the dates are somewhere to
Yeah.
figure them. Because there's a date that Marie was born and there's a date that Lemma died, and that'll establish just how old Marie was.
Well, now, I could be mistaken about the year Lemmer died. I'd have to look in the Bible to see when the year my daddy died, because
It's the year your daddy died?
he died in April and
Mhm.
Lemmer died in August. Same year.
Pretty all right.
Yeah. You don't seem to be far off.
The policeman brought us home that morning, remember when she died?
from the hospital?
Lucille Dunn, and
Yeah, Lucille, wasn't it?
yeah, since was stayed up all night long with her.
That was a sister to John?
Yep. Yeah.
Where was John's family? Were they close by there?
I never did know his family.
Well, who was Lucille Dunn?
Well, it's his sister.
But you never knew any others.
And
Huh?
John went to the orphan's home they put her in the orphan's home when she was 4 years old, when her mother died. And when she was 15 years old, John went down there and got her. Wrote him.
Had he been in an orphan's home himself?
No.
He was an older brother to
Yeah.
Lucille?
Yeah, he's older. And he had 3 other sisters, but one of them died. I never saw any of his sisters but Lucille. There's 2 living yet somewhere, I don't know where.
Do you have the Bible here with the dates in it?
No, not all. Dates of which?
You have the dates of each of the children's birth and that stuff?
Oh,
here?
yeah, I've got it here, but it'd be hard to get to tonight.
No, I didn't mean tonight. I meant it is in the house, though.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it's back down in oh, yeah, you know, I got that Bible.
I know, you've shown it to me.
But it's birth certificate.
Well, you had to use it for each of these
Yeah.
things like that.
I carried it down to the courthouse to get Bell's birth certificate and Cartersville, but the ordinary there does all the foolishness. He says just be. Had a baby. She never was married. And its daddy was a Negro. And his daddy asked her, wasn't it your aunt that had a baby by a nigger? My,
That was when Don brought,
no, G.G. Ward come there by himself.
where did he visit you? At what house?
At Kennesaw.
At Kennesaw? Why was that? Why would he be visiting?
I just don't remember.
The only time I remember him coming there is when Don came with me.
No, Don Moss.
I said that's the only time I remember.
Well, he came there with Don Moss, yes, but then
Gigi just
you must
popping in my
remember.
mind.
You must remember the time he come there as Elsie was. Elsie was teaching school somewhere and staying at G.G. Ward. G.G. Ward and his wife and the little boy come by. And the little boy got my guitar and he was playing and Ward was a preacher, you know.
This
And he
G.G. Ward was a preacher.
Yeah, and he was playing and the singing.
Alright.
Cumberland Gap was a hell of a place. You can't get Ward or worse than a place.
Both of them grew up about the same in stature, very little different.
Who was that?
Who's that woman?
Mama.
Is that Mama? I
That's
never
the-
saw her take a bad picture. She craned her head there.
Ooh.
I always take a bad picture, but I always admired her for taking a good picture, you know. My eyes are usually closed or I'm looking half across. And you said G.G. Ward you think was related to Harv Ward and Fed
Plug
Ward.
in this thing long ago.
Well, that's all right.
Oh.
I didn't know you plugged in anything. I just never thought. Oh, that picture was made
Yeah.
at Kennesaw.
That's Barbara and Marie though.
Yeah.
And they're not hardly a year apart.
No. Not too
So Marie was born in
34.
33.
That
34,
picture,
something
the reason I'm in that, we've all acting the fool one Sunday there, and somebody was standing out hollering at me to look pretty, and I looked pretty.
like that. Oh yeah.
Barbara and Maria was cutting up too.
Mhm,
I think Maria will be 36 for next week.
mhm. You may be right.
September.
Well, we'll just see if G.G. Ward is sitting on the main Courthouse Square in LJ when we go through tomorrow.
No, I don't think he will. I think he's too old to get about much now.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes catching up.
I'd like to ask somebody if there's somebody in that county that's got a good mind that's as much as 90 or 100 years old in there. Then we could fill in some of these.
Huh?
Give him Bible, Maddie.
What'd you say, buddy?
Give him Bible, Maddie.
Who says that?
Maddie, get the Bible.
Not Grandma. Wes.
Used to say it to.
Other Grandma West. I just made the statement to Buddy that I see she reads the Bible since she opened it up now. Aunt Manny was here last Sunday and wanted to convert us to Jehovianism.
Oh, you're talking about Manuel's Matty, huh?
Charlie was always kind of a funny, had a funny way of getting by with things, and he'd do things, and when I'd get after him, he'd try to look pitiful, and get out and do little mean tricks. He'd get mad. I'd make him mad about something, and he'd do something mean, and do something, tear up something, you know, and I'd say something to him about it, and he'd hang his head over. I just wanted to bad. I just wanted to fix that to bad. Tried to look pitiful. And he was, I never was too hard to control. But he wasn't. He was nothing like Don. He had
What
his
kind of
ways.
things did he enjoy doing as a child? Do you remember?
Cranking around mostly. He never did care anything about fooling with a gun or stock. He didn't like to fool with mules like Don loved horses. He liked to ride them and play around with them. And I remember once when Charlie was about, I guess he's about 10, 11 years old. Don had the gun. He said, "Let me shoot that gun, Don." And Don said, "All right." And his dad said, "It'll kick you." Well, he wouldn't shoot the gun. So Don kept on at him. He was determined that he'd shoot the gun. He said, "Come on now, shoot it. It won't kick." Or Papa just thinks it'll kick. "Come on, won't you?" Or watch me, and he'd shoot it, you know. And he wouldn't flinch or rub his shoulder. And he kept on guying Charlie about it. And he told him, always, he'd laugh at him, and he'd tell me what a big coward he was, afraid to shoot a little old gun. And he told him, he said, "I'll get you a gun, and I'll let you go hunting with my gun, and I'll take Papa's if you'll shoot it." Well, he made up his mind he'd shoot. He got out and got a hold of the gun, got it up on his shoulder that way. Don was telling him how. "Now, Don, I'm just not going to shoot that gun. You just want to get me killed." So finally he went in the house. He put on his hat on his sweater. He put on his coat. He put on his overcoat. Put on one of his daddy's coats and his daddy's overcoat. Now that was the awfulest looking something you ever saw when he come out. He was going to shoot the gun. And he just knew it had burst his shoulder, and he finally shot the gun. As soon as the gun fired, he dropped it. It didn't break it, he said.
How old was he then?
10 years old, I guess. He said he just dropped the gun and grabbed his shoulder to see if it was broken.
What do you remember about Belle? As a child.
Well, she was really a quiet kid.
Maybe the quietest?
Huh? Yeah. And she didn't like too much foolishness. She liked fun, all right, but she didn't want nobody playing tricks on her or doing things. Now, my daddy once, after he had his teeth he got his plates. He was there one day, and she was a year old, I guess. And she's always would go to him anywhere. She'd crawl up in his lap and get him out. She just thought the world of it. And she was sitting in my lap, and Dad was sitting there, and he just somehow or another he just dropped his teeth down, you know, and looked funny at her. And she screamed, and she never did get to where she wanted Dad fooling with her.
You mean that changed her at that point?
Yeah, she never did. She never did like Dad. She never would sit in his lap no more.
Mm-hmm.
When he'd go up to her, she'd look at his face to see if he's going to show them teeth. But she always thought a lot of my mother. And she wanted to spoil. Bill never was a spoiled child.
Now here's a picture of Lemma. Did she, who did she resemble? She didn't particularly resemble Elsie
No, she didn't resemble
or
Belle.
Belle either, or Buddy, huh?
No,
She had a
she
larger
never-
head than,
Well, she had more hair.
more hair.
Yeah. She had hair. She just as much hair as I did, and it was always wavy, curly. Her hair was curly when she was little, and she had just a lot of hair. And Elsa never did have any hair hardly, and Belle's hair wasn't so thick, but Lemma really had it.
How was Buddy for in
Mm.
between?
Well, Buddy was kind of stringy-headed.
Stringy headed.
Yeah.
You put her in a class with Belle and
Yeah, her hair. Well,
and
I
Dee Dee,
believe
or
her
not
hair
as
was-
much?
Her hair was thicker than Dee Dee's,
yeah, Dee Dee has thin hair.
and Bill's was
I can't
too.
tell if
Dee Dee
it's
always had-
age or if she's
Unlike
older.
Grandpa West. Grandpa West always, his hair was always thin.
Thin hair.
Yeah.
How about
And
Lemma's
fine.
nose? Who is her nose more like? This picture's the only one I've seen.
Well, I don't. I don't know.
She didn't particularly resemble anyone quickly. Her mouth is very much a family, mouth, but the rest of her face doesn't seem to strike, me as resembling anyone else particularly.
Well, I don't think she looked like the rest of them.
No, Dee Dee has a small face, is what
Yeah,
strikes me.
and-
She doesn't
and
look
Dee
like
Dee's
Dee Dee
got
to me
a-
at all.
Dee Dee's got her Grandpa West nose,
Yeah,
and she's got his.
and Buddy has, huh?
She used to have those funny little action or twist her mouth on that Grandpa had.
So Dee Dee's a little like Grandpa West.
Yeah.
Which what?
But it's
Benjamin N. West.
But it's like Grandma.
Well, let me see if I have this straight, Mama. Dee Dee is like Dee Dee's like Benjamin N. West, Grandpa West, and Buddy is like Marianne Southern West. Would you say that's fair? We
got
pulled that
through.
one off, didn't we? And who is Rudy like? Is he like his father?
Rudy like me.
Well,
He likes me.
no, I can't.
Charlie,
say that Charlie
with a
looks more like
mustache,
his daddy.
looks more like his dad, but
Uh-huh.
a heavyweight edition of his
Yeah,
father.
Charlie looks more like.
At least that young picture when you first got married with a mustache, when he's
Uh-huh.
small framed.
Yeah.
Me like a fool.
No, I think you're close that way. Where Don looks maybe more like Kim Mulkey or something, does he, or what?
No,
No, I don't.
But his face is not shaped
I'm in the
like
middle.
that, like West's
I got a
face,
sharp
his father's
chin.
face.
Sharpie.
Oh, we're all
They used to call me
individuals.
Sharpie.
I'll buy that.
Sure.
That's what
Well-
Buddy used to call me.
She used to call you
Sharpie.
Sharpie.
Yeah.
Sharpie Chin, Sharpie Chin, Sharpie Chin. You
Buddy used to
me
call you
P-Leg
Sharpie
Yellow
Chin.
Lip, too.
What'd you used to call him?
I won't tell you.
Sharpie Chin.
You
Well,
called,
what'd
she
you
called
call
you Choppy Chin. What'd you call her?
P-leg, yellow lip.
P-leg,
Yellow lip.
P-leg, yellow lip. That's wonderful. Where'd you dig up a name like that, do you know? There wasn't TV in those days. Did you hear it on radio?
No.
When did you first get a radio in your house?
Oh, at Cartersville or Cassville.
Now hold it a minute. Did you have one ever at Kennesaw?
Hey, never even had to go up to the.
Now let me see if I understand it right. Hey buddy, you left home without ever having heard a radio. Is that right? I want to be sure of this now.
I'm sure she did.
Oh, she
That's
probably
right.
heard one.
I mean, she might have
We
heard it
go
at
up to
school.
Miss Tanner's. We go to Miss Tanner's and then to the.
Go down to Matt Tanner's.
No, Mr. Alex Tanner's and then to the boxing fights. That was Joe Louis, Max Mellon that time.
You went down to Alec Tanner's to hear a
Went
radio.
up.
I
Up
didn't think
road.
Alec Tanner's had a radio.
Oh, Rudy knew where the radios were, I guarantee you. I remember when we got a radio. That was a big event in our life because we couldn't afford one.
It was a big event.
I got sick and they thought I was
The
dying.
first radio we had was one you and Buddy built. Was that little portable job with
remember that.
batteries.
Right.
And I worked.
Well, that was up
putting
in,
an antenna.
that was